Here is a website known as Norse, N-O-R-S-E, and it supposedly depicts cyber attacks going on in real time. Now, whether or not that is true, or I don't even know who is responsible for this website, but it is interesting, and I'll tell you why. It's because of probably back along September, somewhere in there anyway. September, October, maybe. I'd say more like September. I started watching this occasionally just to see what was going on, and it's generally the same thing. It's always been, since even that time, since I started watching this, it's pretty much been, America that's getting hammered by cyber attacks in this virtual cyber attack web, preface or whatever you want to call it, that they're supposedly showing you how in real time all the cyber attacks going on in the world. Well, today I've had it up for, I logged in, or not logged in, I just visited the website, and clicked on the live attack portion of this, and it brings up the cyber attacks going on. And after you've had it up for a while and you're watching it, maybe 10 minutes, you can see that the United States has received 5,397, 5,500, just all these cyber attacks. And Russia has had 85 cyber attacks, Taiwan 15, the Netherlands 11, Poland 2, France 1, and it even has the military government as receiving 11 cyber attacks. I don't know what that means. Is that the Pentagon or something? Are they like a country unto themselves? That's kind of weird. But anyway, it just shows you all these supposed attacks going on, and I started watching this, so it was maybe around the time that J.P. Morgan, got hacked, and that whole thing went down. And I started kind of noticing, or waking up to the whole threat of cyber. And I always knew that cyber attacks, I knew that the threat was there because the Chinese said that they had the ability to attack our power grids and stuff. And whatever, you hear stuff and blah, blah, blah. And you don't know what's real and what isn't half the time. But anyway, as I started to watch, these cyber attacks go on, then out came the Sony hack, and that whole story and everything associated with that was going on. And then here's an article, let me just switch over here. Here's an article on Bloomberg entitled "U.S. Sanctions Seen as Warning to Nations Backing Cyber Attacks." So it's like the U.S. is getting slammed by cyber attacks on this website. There it is. Just the United States is just getting pummeled by cyber attacks. Okay? I mean, at least in this little, this video, whatever you want to call it, website, showing all these attacks. Okay. Then you come back over here and read about how the United States is responding to, cyber attacks by using sanctions. Well, what's really going on here? I don't know. I know the United States is $18 trillion in debt, has 200-something trillion dollars in unfunded liabilities like Social Security and Medicare, Medicaid, all of these government-related programs. Has the banks, the commercial banks have supposedly not 2 quadrillion. That's the United States commercial banks are exposed to maybe 300 trillion or something like that in derivative exposure. So, in other words, the U.S. banks are maybe close to being insolvent if they already aren't insolvent. We know they were insolvent in 2008, and they had to bail them out. And you can only go so far on bailouts, that are created by digital money printing. And, here we are again. Here we are in 2015, we're 7 years now removed from 2008. That's 7 years in the past. And, here we are in 2015, this QE and rigging of the financial system can only go on so long. I mean, anybody who has a mind to think these things through and to realize that the global debt is tremendous. It's all been manipulated and everything else. All things come to an end. Where's the money been going? All the trillions that have been stolen out of the economy, I don't know. Maybe it's going to bunkers, to build bunkers, to survive Planet X, for all I know. Is that what's coming? Maybe, I don't know. I do know that cyber attacks could be used as a false flag event to cover up the collapsed US dollar, if that scenario plays out. That's the only way, really, that any sort of collapse in the currency could be tolerated by most Americans. Now, most Americans are asleep and really pretty dumbed down and sheep-like in a lot of ways. So they wouldn't necessarily see any of this coming. So the element of surprise is on the part of the people who could carry out some sort of a cyber attack to offer cover for, a collapsed currency scenario where they had to close the banks and all of this business. I can kind of see this coming, just because you have this increased rhetoric about how the U.S. is sanctioning North Korea or sanctioning Russia or whatever, and it could be just one great big grand event to bring in another financial system that the petro. It's no secret that the petrodollar is it's probably going to be replaced by another system, and when this happens, it will probably be there'll be quite a bit of, I would say, turmoil for a while. So anyway, a grid, cyber attacks, a grid down scenario, something like that would certainly get the attention of Americans and get them to back down, to just accept that, okay, the government's going to come in and they're going to fix the situation, and the Fed's going to come to the rescue as usual, and people will need to be rallied into that camp to cheer whatever solution they have. That's what Americans will get behind and cheer for and accept. As usual, it's always that way, because most people are very, very mind-controlled, brainwashed, and just behaviorally conditioned to accept these solutions that are always provided after the significant event that is coming. I can feel it. And that's all I wanted to say about that. Food, water, way to protect yourself, a way to bug out and go somewhere else if your place is undesirable in the future due to maybe you're in a place with a high density of population or whatever. Things need to be thought out now. We're running out of time. If you haven't thought things through, you're not going to make it, because people are going to be in a state of shock, and things can break down rapidly. So, with that being said, that's what I wanted to say. Here I see the threat of cyber attacks once again out there in the news. It's not being covered by mainstream media, obviously. I mean, people are going to be, take a shellac, and you're going to get, what's coming is going to be completely out of left field and bonk you upside the head, but that's the way it goes. And either you're in the know or you're not. Take care. Talk to you later.